In our previous video, we looked at how marketing research can help with our customer orientation. Who are our customers? What do they want? And with systems orientation in terms of monitoring what would impact the organization and whether or not we need to change the marketing mix, our product, our placement, our price, our promotion. So why would we do marketing research? Well, marketing research can provide insights into our customers' needs and wants. It connects the customer, the client, and the organization. So an example of this, or where a business might be failing to understand its customers, it was the release of the HP Touchpad. So the challenge with the HP Touchpad was that it came out right about the same time as the iPad. It took 9 months to be developed and released. And when it was released, it was priced similar to the iPad. However, it had less functionality, lower quality, so there less apps, less things you could do with it. Well, the problem is people don't want to pay the same price for something that does less, that has less features. So it turns out the HP Touchpad, it was on the market only for about 7 weeks. It was initially released at a price similar to the iPad, right? And it cost about $300 to make it. And then it was being sold at about double that. Well, no one was buying this product, so HP ultimately had to lower the price to $99. Companies like Best Buy were refusing to stock it just because they weren't moving at all. And then eventually the HP Touchpad ceased to exist because the retailers were not willing to even stock it and put it out. The company ultimately lost $1 billion. So we need marketing research to make sure the business understands what it is the customer wants. And of course, we also need to understand what's happening in that external environment, like what's happening with the competition. So it is a systems orientation if we are talking about what's happening with the competition. Knowing our customers and what they want is that customer orientation. We also talk about how marketing research can help us with our marketing mix. What is the product we should be offering? Where should it be available? The placement? What price should we be selling it for? And how should we be informing the customers about it? So we need to have the right marketing mix in order to be successful. And this is that blend of product, services, pricing, promotion. It also includes your distribution strategy, and we want to hit that target market. Well, an example of marketing research or where a product went wrong is with cornflakes expanding into other markets. So we're looking at the product combined with the placement where it is available. So in the US, right, cornflakes and their different versions that we have today, quite successful, right? So one of the key sellers for Kellogg's. Now, when Kellogg's expanded into the Indian market, they took their same product, the same cornflakes, and began promoting them in India. And part of the advertisement was cornflakes are guaranteed to stay crisp. Well, in North America, when we have cornflakes, we put them in milk, cold milk. Well, in India, breakfast cereals are often eaten with hot milk. And the problem is that when you mix hot milk with cornflakes, they turn into mush. And so they become unappetizing. The other challenge that Kellogg's had is that when they released this product into India, they was basically just taking the current cost, the current price of a box of cornflakes and converting it with the exchange rate and trying to sell it then in India. So they just converted US dollars to rupees and sold it that way. But that made it 80% more expensive than all the other breakfast alternatives within the country. And so this particular product didn't last long, lost money for Kellogg's. And so we really need to understand who are the customers, how do they consume or use the product, and in terms of what price they would be willing to pay for it. So we need to understand that key marketing mix. And then we need to understand the environment. So this is that systems orientation we talked about in the previous video, understanding the external environment that could impact the target market. And to look at an example of this, let's consider the Ford Edsel released in 1956. So if I can just get this turned on here. So this is an advertisement here for the Ford Edsel, talking about the luxury of the vehicle, how great its quality and features are. So it was a luxury vehicle, and it was priced to be a luxury vehicle. Now, the problem is that it was released in 1956, and there was a recession in 1957 and 58. So the problem is that people could not afford a luxury vehicle. At the same time, the Ford Edsel was quite a gas guzzler, and gas prices were quite high at the time, and so consumers were actually demanding more fuel-efficient cars. So the problem with the Ford Edsel is that it didn't match what was happening in that external environment. Now, Times Magazine has called the Ford Edsel one of the 50 worst cars of all times, but it wasn't a lemon. Okay, it sold 63,000 in its first year. That was the record for the second largest car being sold in 1956. But because it was a luxury car during a recession, it was not very fuel efficient when there were high gas prices. It was a great car, but at the wrong time. And so we really need to understand what's happening in our economy to make forecasts in terms of what is going to be the future demand for our product. We need to understand the tastes and the changes that are happening, the economic conditions that are happening. So it's really important from an organization's perspective to understand who its customers are, what's happening with its competition, and to understand those external factors or forces that are impacting it. So from business perspective, we do marketing research for those pieces. We take those challenges and we convert them into a research project. If you are a nonprofit, you'll still be doing research to make sure you understand the clients that you are helping. And you would still need to understand that external environment and how it's going to impact what you do, right? You need to understand in terms of grant funding, government funding for your activities, what's likely to happen in the future. If you understand better what's happening in the economy, whether your government's going to have a surplus, whether there's going to be high inflation or unemployment, that limits the amount of money that might be available to you and your organization. You need to understand what's happening in terms of political priorities, right? That might impact your organization. So all of this is data information collecting, analyzing, so we can make informed decisions, whether that's forecasting what's going to happen in the future or understanding the characteristics of clients, of customers, of people that you engage with within your organization. So we're going to be looking at these throughout the coming videos.